It's loading now, sir, so I think we're in pretty good shape.
Okay,
My apologies to everyone for delaying it.
that's all right. Are we okay to proceed, Joe? Not quite?
We're ready to go.
Okay, here we go.
Thanks for your patience, and to all those attendees, thank you.
No problem. Okay, this evening is our monthly meeting of the Board of Adjustment. While we're having to change how we operate, we are still committed to a transparent process and encouragement of public comment during our meetings. We will be accepting public comments based on using the hand raise feature. You can raise your hand at any time and we will recognize you as we get to the public participation portion of the agenda for each case. Director of Planning, Mr. Joe Vunich, will be moderating the Zoom meeting and will be asked to provide names of those individuals that wish to speak, again, as hands are raised. Okay, having said that, I would like to call the meeting of the City of Wildwood's Board of Adjustment to order. The board members present today are Deborah Coleman, board member, Bob Morris, board member, Peter Trapani, alternate board member, and myself, Arnie Sprunger, board member and acting chair for tonight's meeting. The Department of Planning staff present is Joe Vunich, Director of Planning, and Kristen Parker, Administrative Assistant. City Attorney John Young and Court Reporter Courtney Tallman are also present. Actually, I think Sam Beffa is really who's with us, not John. Welcome, Sam. Okay, first I offer into the record the affidavit of publication pertaining to today's meeting of May 20th, 2021, and take official notice of the zoning ordinance of City of Wildwood, including Chapter 400, Article 2, authorizing and establishing the Board of Adjustments powers and duties. Now, let me explain the hearing procedure. Please be aware the information I'm about to describe is also provided on the Board of Adjustment Public Hearing Procedure handout, which was available online prior and up to tonight's meeting. This meeting is informal in its nature. However, the meeting's proceedings will be recorded by a reporter for future transcription if needed. The petitions are called in the order listed on the agenda. As the petition is called, I will ask a Department of Planning staff member to read each request into the record. Thereafter, the Department of Planning will have opening remarks and a brief slide presentation. Then, the petitioner or their representative will be asked to state their name and address, be sworn in by the court reporter, and make a brief presentation to the board explaining the nature of the requested variance and the hardship necessitating it. The board will only consider the nature and condition of the property and whether these factors mandate a variance in order to allow for its full utilization. Board members may ask questions to clarify the facts of the petitioner's presentation. When the board is satisfied with the material presented by the petitioner, I will then ask if there is anyone present online who would like to speak in favor or opposition to the request. Each speaker will be asked to provide their name and address, be sworn in, and then state their comments. Procedurally, the petitioner may request a continuance at any time during the hearing prior to a call for the vote in order to bring in additional documentation or information. The board may also request a continuance to gather additional information or for a further visit to the site. After the conclusion of input from all interested parties, the board will ask a staff person to provide the Department of Planning's report on this matter, if requested by any member of the board, the petitioner, or any individual that is participating online. Additionally, any other information not presented in the previous testimony, but pertinent to the request, will be noted at this time. Once all speakers have been heard, the chair myself, will call for a motion to grant or deny with or without conditions. Then the board will vote. At that time, the discussion relating to the petition is concluded and no further input will be permitted. The board will generally make a decision today. All 4 members of the board must vote in favor of the petition for it to be approved. If a variance is approved, the petitioner has 6 months to obtain the necessary permits or establish the use, or it will expire. If the board's decision is unfavorable, the petitioner has the right of appeal to the St. Louis County Circuit Court. This appeal must be done within 30 days of the decision. Okay, Mr. Vunich, are there any questions at this time?
And Mr. Chair, with your permission, if there are any questions amongst the 5 attendees, if you would please raise your hand and advise the department, and then I'll promote you to panelists so you can ask your question and we'll provide an answer as best we can. Mr. Chair, could I just have about 30 seconds or so to give them ample time to find the raise hand feature?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, Mr. Chair, I don't think we need 30 seconds. No one's raised their hand, so I think
Okay.
we can proceed if you like.
Okay, very good. So hearing no questions at this time, the board will proceed. So we will now ask that we read the first request into the record, which will be followed by initial comments by the Department of Planning and a brief slide presentation. So Mr. Vunich, here you go.
Thank you again, Mr. Chair, and pardon my interruption. Mr. Chair and members of the board, the first item on tonight's agenda is BA 08-21, Tom and Stacy O'Connell, 16621 Colby Manor Court, Wildwood, Missouri 63040. Request an exception to the natural resource protection standards for the purpose of maintaining an existing fence, which currently encroaches into a portion of the lot's 100% protected area, all being located at 16621 Colby Manors Court, locator number 24U4303430735, Manors at the Enclave subdivision, lot 6. The request is contrary to the requirements of chapter 420.200 Natural Resource Protection Standards and Procedures of the City of Wildwood Subdivision and Development Regulations, chapter 415.120 or R1A 22,000 square foot resident district of the City of Wildwood zoning ordinance, and Plan Residential Development Overlay District, parenthetical PRD number 1147, which was approved by the Wildwood City Council in 2005. This particular request does not offer an exchange of protected, non-protected area as a component of it. And finally, the subject site is located in Ward 8. Mr. Chair, Ms. Parker will have a slide presentation shortly if the board would like to see it, but before she proceeds forward, the department would like to enter into the record the following items. Chapter 400, Article 2 of the City of Wildwood Municipal Code, the Board of Adjustment. Chapter 415 of the City of Wildwood Municipal Code, the zoning ordinance. The file that has been developed and maintained by the Department of Planning regarding this particular request, and all contents contained therein, including the department's report with recommendation. And then finally, any items that are offered as evidence tonight at this particular hearing, and those could include any exhibits, plats, or other items offered as testimony. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vunich. Kristen, are you ready to go?
I am ready to go.
Right.
Okay, can everyone see the screen?
We can.
Okay, good. Okay, the first slide is an overview of the area. And the subject property is right here in this tiny little rectangle off of Colby Manors Court. And we have Manchester Road right here, which butts up to the back of the property. We have the Deerberg Shopping Center over here to the left and the Schnuck Shopping Center over here to the right. And Old Fairway Drive is right here. Okay, this next slide is an overview of the property. You can see the home right here on Colby Manors Court and Manchester Road right here behind them. Here we have the aerial with different elevations. And basically the home is at the highest point. It kind of slopes down here a little bit in the rear, just a little bit. Here's the front of the petitioner's property, their home. We start over here on the left side of the house, looking from the sidewalk to the backyard. A little bit closer to the backyard, here is the existing fence. And right at the fence, looking into the backyard, Manchester is back over behind here. And this is their patio area. And here we are on the right side of the home, looking towards the backyard. A little bit closer, you see the fence here. The petitioner's home is right here on the left. And down at the fence, looking into the backyard from the right side of the home, you see the fence that is all the way around the property in the backyard. This is the back of the home. So I'm out on a trail back behind here that leads back to Manchester. See the fence back here. It's just a little bit of a clear shot into the backyard. You'll see the fence in the back of the home. This is the trail that leads out onto Manchester. And here is the petitioner's property over here to the right. This is looking from Manchester Road into the back. Petitioner's home is actually over here on the left side. You can't really see it. That is the back way in. Over here, the neighbor to the right. This is their home right here to the right. We're kind of looking toward Old Fairway Drive up that way. This is the neighbor to the left. This is looking down towards the end of the street, which is a cul-de-sac down here at the bottom. And that's where you can hop on that trail. That's looking towards Old Fairway Drive. So petitioner would be over here on the left. This is on Old Fairway Drive looking onto Colby Manors Court. And here is the drawing of the property. This purple line, if you can see it, is the property line. The blue area is the residence. This orange line right around here is the existing fence. The pool is a proposed pool. It is not there yet. And this green area is the natural resource protection area. So you can see the fence is currently in there, in that area. And these are the comments that we received from the surrounding neighbors. This is the petitioner's home right here. And these are the 4 comments that we received. And they were all positive in support comments. And that is the end of the slideshow, and the department would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, do any board members have any questions? If not, then I would like to invite the petitioner or their representative to come before us and state your name, your address, your relation to the property, and then remember, be sworn in by the court reporter.
Hey, we're Tom and Stacy O'Connell. We're at 16621 Colby Manors Court here in Wildwood. And we are the homeowners here.
Okay.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so would you please explain the nature of the request and the hardship or practical difficulty that is necessitating the variance?
So when we purchased the home 6.5 years ago, we had written into the contract with the builder that we wanted a fence installed because we had at the time we had two very small children and a dog. No, they're a little bit older, but still running around in the backyard. So being that we back up to Old Manchester, we felt that it was a safety issue having the kids play back there with the traffic. And so he agreed to put the fence in, and we assumed that he went through the proper permitting when he did do that. We then put in a request for a pool, which we tried very, very hard to make sure it was not in that natural protection easement. And we kept it out of that. However, with the permitting process, it came to our attention that our fence was actually located in the natural protection easement and had not been permitted as a variance, which was a surprise to us that the builder hadn't gone through that. So here we are. And we're requesting to keep the fence where it is located. And we've checked with all the neighbors and have letters from each neighbor on either side of us stating that they have no issues with the current location of the fence.
Okay. Okay, thank you for that. It's one of those not so pleasant surprises, right?
Right.
Yeah,
I'm always
right.
one that asks for permission first and not forgiveness later. I always like to have everything in a row. So this was definitely a shock to us.
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay, are there any questions by any of the board members for the O'Connells? Okay, no questions, that's fine. I think you did a good job of just explaining what the situation is. I think we all get it. At this time, I'd like to open the floor to speakers in the audience who may want to speak either in favor of or opposition to the request. And again, remember, use the raise hand feature if you would like to speak. Are there any speakers that would like to address the board?
Good, Mr. Chair, if you wouldn't mind just giving a few seconds to see if the attendees would like to participate in this particular case. And again, if the attendees would use the raise hand feature, I can recognize you as wanting to participate and promote you to a panelist. Thank you. Mr. Chair, doesn't look like anyone wants to speak at this time.
Okay, very good, thank you. And now I guess I would just offer to the Department of Planning the opportunity to make any final comments about this particular variance request.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, before beginning a very brief presentation, is there anyone on the board or the petitioners that would like to hear a full oral presentation of the report? See none. Mr. Chair and members of the board, the Department of Planning is supporting the requested variance. We believe the impact is very minimal, if any, by the existence of the fence, and that the existence of the fence has no impact on stormwater runoff, which is the key reason there are the natural resource protection standards. Therefore, we are recommending approval with no conditions. Mr. Chair and members of the board, if there are any questions of Ms. Parker or I, we'd be glad to try to answer them at this time. Thank you.
Any questions or comments by any of the board members? Okay, it doesn't sound like there are any. So at this time, I think we're going to go ahead and close the proceeding for a vote. Is there a motion to approve, deny, or approve with conditions from anyone? Bob?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Okay, approve as requested, okay. Perfect. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Trapani. And now we'll go ahead and do a roll call vote. Board Member Coleman, how do you vote? Okay, with the laryngitis and everything, that is a yes, okay. Board Member Morris,
Yes.
Board Member Trapani,
Yes.
and I also vote yes. And so your variance request is approved as requested. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, at this time, we will move on to our second case. And I would ask the Director of Planning, Mr. Vunich, if you would like to present this next case.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Mr. Chair and members of the board, the second item on tonight's agenda and the final item is BA 10-21 Dave Hummerit, 224 Cherry Hills Meadows Drive, Wildwood, Missouri, 63040. Requests an exception to the minimum yard requirements, general, for the purpose of installing a permanent standby generator at 16326 Black Cherry Drive, locator number 24V 620944, the Meadows 123, which would thereby authorize a side yard setback distance of 3 feet in lieu of 6 feet. The placement of the generator must adhere to a minimum distance of 5 feet from any combustible wall, the side of the dwelling, which causes it to encroach into the setback of the side area, the cited distance. This request is contrary to the requirements of Chapter 415.140 R3 10,000 square foot resident district regulations of the City of Wildwood zoning ordinance and St. Louis County Planned Environment Unit, PEU, ordinance number 17554, which was approved in 1993. This subject site is located in Ward 8. Again, Mr. Chair, Ms. Parker has a slide presentation she can provide in a minute. But before that, the Department of Planning would like to enter into the record the following items. Chapter 400, Article 2 of the City of Wildwood Municipal Code, the Board of Adjustment. Chapter 415 of the same City of Wildwood Municipal Code, the zoning ordinance. The file that has been developed and maintained by the Department of Planning regarding this particular request, and all contents contained therein, including the department's report with recommendation. And then finally, any testimony, evidence, plats, or exhibits that are offered as part of tonight's hearing on this particular request. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vunich. Ms. Parker, if you would like to provide the slide presentation, we'd love to see it.
Okay, can everyone see?
Yep,
Okay,
we're good.
we're in the overall area. The petitioner's home is right here in this tiny little blue rectangle. We're kind of in the same area as we were on the last case. Here is Manchester. We have the Deerbergs Plaza up here, and we have Schnucks over here, Taylor right here, and City Hall right over here. So it's right down over here off Black Cherry Drive. And here is the petitioner's home right here. And here's the elevation. In this one, there is a slight slope down here in the side yards. The back yard is fairly level back here. Here's the front of the home. This is I'm standing on the sidewalk looking in between petitioner's home over here on the right, and this is the neighbor over here on the left. And we're heading down this hill to the area where the generator is proposed to be placed. So we're in between the two homes. You can see the neighbor over here on the left and petitioner's home over here on the right, air conditioning unit over here, the home back here in the back. And the generator is proposed to be on the other side of the air conditioner here. And here's that wall where it's proposed. And I believe it'll be over here in this area right here. There are no windows on the side of the home. And this is down. I'm kind of standing there at the edge of the flat part of the backyard, looking back up. And you'll see petitioner's home over here, where this area is, where the generator is proposed. Neighbor is over here on the right. Kind of another view of the same area, no windows. Just a more close-up view of this area. This is the backyard, so it'd be right here in this area in the back. There's obviously a new patio. Sitting more further back, looking towards the home, the back of the home. Back of the home does have a bunch of windows. Just a little bit further back, more of a fuller view of the backyard and the back of the home. This is the neighbor directly to the left. You see, this is where I was standing before. This is the neighbor on the right side. And this is looking north on Black Cherry. The petitioner's home is over here on the right. Looking south on Black Cherry. The home is over here on the left. The home is in the meadows at Cherry Hills. This is a picture of what the generator will look like. And this stats on the generator, it's actually this model over here on the right, but they are all the same size, which is 48 by 25 by 29. And here's the property, the outside property line in out here. This is the existing home in blue, outlined in blue. The pink is the setback area. And this little blue dot right here is where the generator is proposed. So it's going into this side yard setback. And this is the comments we received. This is the petitioner's home here in the pink. We did receive one positive in support, which is that direct neighbor on the left that you saw in the pictures. And this one was a question on about the noise. So and that is it. The department would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Parker. Any questions from any of the board members at this time for the department? No, okay. At this time, I'd like to invite the petitioner, Mr. Hummert, to explain the nature of the request and the hardship or practical difficulty necessitating the variance. But first, you'll need to state your name, your address, and your relation to the property, and then be sworn in by the court reporter. And remember to take mute off so we can hear you. There you go.
Good evening. Does everybody hear me?
Yes.
Great. My name's Dave Hummert. I live at 224 Cherry Hills, Meadows Drive. in the same subdivision at the as the home that we're discussing. The home we bought, we purchased for our son who was injured in a work-related accident. And we are in the process of making it completely accessible for his purposes and for his living circumstance.
Dave,
Yes.
we got to make sure that we get you sworn in by the court
Oh,
reporter.
okay.
Okay?
All right.
Okay, very good.
Okay. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
All right, now you can proceed.
Okay. Very sorry.
That's okay. It's okay.
So yeah, so we live in the subdivision and have for 25 years. We purchased this home for Matt, and we are currently in the process of making it accessible. I think you saw in one of the photos, we have the front of the house shows the dumpster out there as we're doing a lot of extensive renovations. So the request for this generator is for the purposes, we are going to put an elevator in the home. So Matt has access. It's a walkout, as you can see, and we did put a new patio in, so he has full access to the basement grounds. We do have reason for power outages in our area from time to time, but that part of the consideration for the generator is that exactly. So the reason why we placed it in this area, we were unaware that there was a problem with it until it came to our attention. But on that side of the house, there are no windows, nothing. If the generator did run, I understand there's obvious concerns about combustion and gases and things that can get in windows or anywhere in the house. So we selected that spot, but being the 6-foot setback, we're going to encroach on that. I think that's what caused this issue. So the purpose for this request is to ask that a variance be granted so that we can put it, it would be really close to where Kristen's picture showed, near the bottom of that, near the back of the foundation, the lower part of that side of the house. It is on the side of the house that Tom and September Noonan, there are neighbors on that side, and they have agreed that, it's perfectly fine with them. And that's the letter that is in our packet. So we're just requesting that we can, get the variance request and allow us to put the generator in that place.
Thank you, Mr. Hummert. Are there any questions for the petitioner from any of the board members? Okay, I don't see any questions. So at this time, I'd like to open the floor to speakers in the audience. Anyone who might want to speak in favor or opposition to the request. So Mr. Vunich, I'll let you monitor and see if there's anyone who would like to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There are 2 attendees, and to the 2 attendees, if you would like to speak, would you please use the raise hand feature, and we'll promote you from attendee to panelist, and then you can speak to the matter as you would like. Mr. Chair, they've not used the raise hand feature, so I'll assume that they do not want to speak at this time.
Okay, very good. That being the case, would there be any interest in hearing an oral presentation of the department's report? Okay, not seeing or hearing a desire for that. Would the Department of Planning like to make any final comments on this variance request?
Yes, Mr. Chair, and thank you. Mr. Chair and members of the board, the Department of Planning is supporting this requested variance and recommending the board grant it. The department notes that the generator does create a certain extent of noise when operational, but that noise would be in that location regardless if the generator is at a 3-foot setback or a 5 or 6 foot distance. It's just the nature of the operation. The generator is there at that location to meet building code requirements, as well as to provide power in the event of a power outage to this particular location. We believe the public health, safety, and welfare of the occupant of the dwelling overarches the concerns relating to the reduction in setback. So again, in this particular case, the Department of Planning is recommending that the Board of Adjustment consider it favorably. Again, as with the last case, Ms. Parker and I are available for any questions or comments, and thank you.
Are there any questions for either Ms. Parker or Mr. Vunich? Okay, I don't see any. So I'm going to go ahead and close this proceeding for a vote. Do we have a motion to approve, deny, or approve with conditions?
I'll support the motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve as requested. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Morris, thank you for that. We will now take a vote. Mr. Trapani, how do you vote?
Yay.
Mr. Morris, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Board Member Coleman, how do you vote? Well, we can't, oh, there we go, approve, got it. Okay, and I likewise vote to approve as requested. Therefore, the variance request is approved as requested. Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you very much, everybody. We really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. And so with that, the final case before the board is now finished. We will call this meeting to closure, and I think that wraps it up for this meeting. I'd like to thank each of you for being here and participating.
Thanks.
And so I think that pretty much wraps it up. So we will see you all in another month.
And thanks again for being here tonight, both to Ms. Tallman and Mr. Beffa. We do appreciate it very much.
Yes, we do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, all.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.